In today's video, I am sharing with you my positive hypnobirthing experiences and some tips and tricks to help you in your labor. So stick around. Hey everyone, welcome to Mom for Every Season. I'm Taryn, and if you're brand new, I post videos on everything from motherhood and mindset, parenting tips, and self-care, and really anything to help you ditch the overwhelm and live a heart-centered life. So I do hope that you stick around and hit that subscribe button. Today I'm just going to be sharing with you my experience with hypnobirthing. I used it in all 3 of my labors, and just some tips and tricks that have helped me that may help you in your labor. So if you are the type of person that really likes to jump to the tips, I will make sure I post a timestamp in the description box below, because I find it always helps to hear another mom's experience, especially if it's in a positive light, because we already have enough negativity in movies and in media with labor and delivery. So just a little bit of a backstory on my experience. I am a mom of 3. I have an almost 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I successfully used hypnobirthing in all 3 to a certain extent in all 3 of my labors. So in my first labor, I really prepared. I did all the meditations. I, for months on end, would, do the hypnobirthing exercises, visualizations, meditations, whatever I could find. And of course, being a new mom, I delved into everything I could find. And I, majorly prepared for that labor. I did have to be induced. She was 14 days late. She just was really comfy in there and didn't want to come out. But on a side story too, I was 3 centimeters for 4 weeks, leading up to the labor. And I kept thinking, today's going to be the day. But no, she was really comfy in there and didn't want to come. So I did have to be induced. And they luckily just broke my water. And within the hour, I went into pretty intense labor. And, I just used, the exercises and the visualizations, the breathing in hypnobirthing. And with her labor, they broke my water around 10 a.m. and I believe I had her I went into labor within the hour, and then I had her by 6 that evening. With my son, who's 3 now, he actually came on his own and I didn't have to be induced. Funny enough, I was trying to finish my show that I was watching that night, and I was like, no, I'm not in labor. But no, I was. And I didn't quite, for his pregnancy, I did not prepare at all. I, left it to the last minute. I think maybe a couple weeks before the labor, I ended up starting I should really be practicing all these meditations again. But during that labor too, I did to an extent use the visualizations and the breathing techniques. And then with my third, who is now, she's 1, she, again, my girls, I guess, like to be late, and she was 7 days late, so I had to be induced, and again, I broke my water. For my sons and my youngest pregnancy, I chose not to know what I was dilated at before that point, because really it didn't matter. I sat for 4 weeks being 3 centimeters dilated with my first daughter, and it didn't make a difference. I still had to be induced. So just another side note, maybe just don't even bother checking how many centimeters you're dilated. And again, I didn't want to know during the labors at all, because I just didn't want that added stress. I told them, just, check me and don't tell me until I'm 8 or 9 centimeters. And that one went really fast. And again, I just had to really concentrate on the breathing exercises. And I had her in 2 hours. It was super fast. The resident didn't even make it on time. That hypnobirthing, I'm sure, had such an impact on having such a fast labor. And there's actual science behind this, because of course there are hormones involved in labor, childbirth, and if you are in, more of a relaxed state, that will help speed up child birth, and it will help, put you at ease. Whereas if you're in more of a fight or flight kind of, or a fear-based mindset, it's going to increase those hormones that are going to slow down your birth. Okay, so tip number 1 for hypnobirthing is when you are in that, in your labor, in your contraction, is just to focus on that one contraction. And that's what helped me the most, I believe, in my labors, is just focusing on it's almost like leaning into that contraction, feeling it, concentrating on your breathing, just being in the present moment, and just realizing at the end of your contraction, you get like a little bit of break, and just taking it one contraction at a time. Because if you get in that mindset where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can handle this anymore, like this is, hurting, or getting into fear, it's just going to escalate, of course, your fear and just getting caught up in a negative mindset. So if you can carry forward that present moment and just really getting into that contraction and focusing on that one contraction at a time, your body will be able to relax better, will be able to dilate and prepare to have your baby. Realizing you get a break at the end of the contraction, that is really what helped me. Like just thinking, okay, at the end of this, it's just you get that rest. Even if it's a short amount of time, you get that rest. And just taking it one contraction at a time. Tip number 2 is mantras or affirmations. And it just really revolves around getting yourself into a positive mindset. Because again, if you go down that road of negativity or fear, it's just going to slow everything down. And, it doesn't help us feel good either. So using mantras, I use something like trust the process. My body knows exactly how to labor, or stuff like there's like tons of affirmations online. You can just pick whatever really resonates with you and just focusing on that. So when you start to go into that fear-based mindset, just come back to your mantra or come back to your breath. Tip number 3 is just listening to music that will help relax you. Funny enough, like when I was laboring with my first, my mom ended up coming a little bit later, a couple hours later, and I really just had to be in my own space. And she was standing in front of, I was leaning over the hospital bed on one side, and then she came onto the other side and was just sitting there so worried and concerned. And it didn't help the situation. I pretty much had to move her off to the side. I was like, I just need my own space. I need to be able to listen to my music and just, really concentrate on breathing. And the fact that she was sitting there looking so concerned and almost fearful, it, amped up my anxiety. So again, listening to music, or if you need to set boundaries with people, then do that as well. Okay, tip number 4 is visualization. And this one I had to really be open to, because I found that when I did all the preparation for my first labor, I actually didn't use any of those visualizations. They just didn't resonate with me when I was laboring. We're just really finding something that resonates with you. So for my first one, I visualized a blue balloon just getting bigger. I can't remember if it was blue or red. Blue balloon getting bigger and bigger with my contraction. And then as I got to the top of the contraction, it just floated off and it turned red, I believe. I might have the colors mixed up there. And that's all I would concentrate when I was having a contraction was, taking that breathing and visualizing this balloon. For my second labor, that actually didn't work for me. I can't remember now. It's funny how I remember so much more from my first labor, but for my second, I think I used waves, just coming in and out. And then for my third, I believe I went back to the balloon. You can even visualize your cervix dilating and opening. I've heard of visualizations of flowers opening, a heart, getting bigger, anything really. And then this brings me to tip number 5 is just keep an open mind, because again, maybe what you thought you were gonna enjoy preparing for labor, it might not really fit when you're in the labor process. So having an open mind and trusting the process. Because even I found that, I wanted to be able to walk around, and I was so concerned because for my first, I had to have the heart monitor on, but then when I was actually laboring, I didn't want to walk around. I wanted to lean over the bed. So just keeping an open mind for everything. I felt like I wanted to be able to have a shower, and I didn't use the shower, or, I brought a tennis ball for my husband to be able to roll on my back. I didn't use that for any of my labors, and each labor was completely different in its own way. And just, testing things out too. So you can always, if something's not working, if you are in a position you don't like, switch it. And even if the doctor says, no, you need to be in this position, do what your body, like tune into your body and just do what feels right and trust that process, because women's bodies know how to labor their babies, and we have amazing bodies that, you know, have grown these babies and they know exactly how to labor them as well. So I think that's all I want to say. Okay, I would love to know how far along you are in your pregnancy, or maybe you are a second or third time, fourth time mom. Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you are brand new, I would love for you to stick around and hit that subscribe button and join the community. I hope you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it. Make sure you give it a like if you did. And that is it for now. I always end my videos with, in case you haven't heard this today, you are an amazing mama and you got this. So that's it for now. Bye for now.